Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Balkan Sis, the show that's going to help you navigate the massive challenges of life, motherhood, culture, identity, and belonging with more ease, acceptance, joy, and purpose. Thanks to each and every one of you that come back every time to listen, learn, heal, and feel inspired. If you do love the podcast, then do me a huge favor and hit the subscribe button. It really does help spread the word. I'm so excited about this episode. I say this every single episode, but I don't know, this one especially even more. It's like with every guest, I'm more and more excited because as the evolution of me happens, so does the evolution of the guests that I bring on. So yeah, welcome back to another episode. This podcast episode, we're going to be talking real life, roots, resilience, and raising the next generation while building empires from our kitchens, our laundries, our bedrooms, and all sorts of things. So welcome to Balkan Sis, Petrija. Lovely to have you on.
Thank you so much, Evan. I'm so excited.
Your work is instantly recognizable. You've probably seen her flashcards and vibrant prints floating around the internet or shared by mums in the know. But behind the visuals is a woman with a deep Balkan roots, strong values, and a fire in her belly that keeps her going through the late nights and the long days. So today's chat, we're going to be diving into motherhood, creativity, keeping it real online, getting copied, showing up anyway, and why she does it all with such fierce love for women, girls, and cultures that raised us. So this conversation is going to be for anyone who's juggling, a dream and a family and doing it with heart and soul all at the same time. So Petrija, let's start opening up by let us know a little bit more about you. Let us know about your roots and how do they show up in your work and your world? So take us right back and let's start there.
I always say I don't think about the future, which I don't, but I'm so hung up on the past. I don't know, it's just my personality. I'm a double Cancer, so Cancer sun, Cancer moon, and I'm very family orientated and emotional, and I've always been that way. I thought something wrong with me as a child, and I realized it's just my personality. That's just what I am. And when I've learned to embrace that, that's when the power really shows. So I don't know, I'm just a normal girl from the Western Sydney suburbs. My parents are migrants here from Bosnia. And with my creative business, my family is actually quite creative. My dad's family is quite musical. And I think, honestly, I don't like it when people say, oh, I haven't got a creative bone in my body. I only can draw stick figures. I don't like that because I know everyone has that within them to create and express themselves in whatever way that is. I know that they can do it. It's just that we were taught as kids how a house should look like, how we should draw it, and in school that's what we were taught. So it's really limited your thinking and beliefs. But yeah, where was I going with this? I was going with this. Yeah, so my family have always been quite creative. Barbare, they're always quite creative. I mean, they would knit and knit their little vest and dye it with walnuts.
We're all born the same, and some people are just a little bit more gifted at certain things than others. Maybe someone's really good with their hands, or someone's really good with their voice, or whatever it might be, but we all have that something that we can share. And how did that sort of come up for you as you were growing up? Like, how did that journey take shape and lead you to where it's a big question, obviously, because so many things happen to lead us to where we are now, but give us a little bit of an insight.
Well, I've said this before. When I'd get in trouble, my mum would just send me to the room and to do painting. So that was my form of discipline, I guess, or just for me to get out of her hands with 4 kids under whatever age that was, 4 under 4 possibly. So yeah, we just started painting, and then we'd do these things where we'd spend an afternoon with mum and my sister in an art room. We had just the spare room in the house, and we'd just be painting. And I remember designing clothes. I remember just painting still life, little figurine, we paint that up there, anything, or just abstract painting. So, and plus I've always done piano as well. So I think learning an instrument really opens your mind. I really, really suggest everyone to put their kids in learning an
Yeah,
instrument.
no. There's
I
so
think,
many positives to technology, but I think for us, like we didn't grow up like that, so therefore we can now enjoy the fruits of that. But for
yeah,
children who are growing up in this, what's the point of doing anything? I could just go on
of course, me
ChatGPT and
too.
it gives me the answers. We're not really using like critical thinking skills. And you're a
Of
mama
course,
of two with another baby on the way, you're running a full-time
yes.
business from home. What does a real day in the life look like for you now? You reflected a little bit back onto
Yeah,
your own childhood of like when you'd get into trouble, you get sent to the room
yeah,
and there wasn't anything you could do other than be creative. What is, yeah, a day in real life look like for you with two little ones and another one on the way?
yes. Well, it's just we wake up. I make sure I have my cup of tea. I need that cup of tea while the kids have their bottles of milk. They're still quite little. I pop the TV on, okay, so I can have that tea in peace. And then I think, okay, yeah, I have to put a load of washing on. Oh, and I did the dish last night if I didn't clean it last night because I had to put the kids in the bath earlier. And then I do the dishes, and then I was like, oh wait, an order just popped up on my phone, so I'm gonna go quickly
Yeah.
do that. And then my daughter's like, Mom, can I help? Yes, you can. You can write a
Oh,
thank you
100.
note.
I think there's something beautiful about your children also seeing you create, seeing you build something from the ground up, and then they can take that vision and be like, wow, my mum did that. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if they weren't present for any of that, like they just have this detachment as to like, what
Yeah,
does mum do? What does dad do? No one knows. Yeah. And I think that's beautiful. And like,
yeah,
what I like how you share how you do it and what you do. And a really important moment for me was actually when I was just struggling. I was having a hard day, and I think I messaged you at night time. I'm like, how do you do it? How do you
yeah.
do it? I
Done
don't
basic
understand. Like, you got a
work.
third one on the
Yeah,
way. My kid, one's older than you. Like, I don't get it. What am I not doing right here? And you were like, my house looks like shit sometimes, and we eat like dinners for 3 days, the same dinner, or we get takeout. And I'm like, oh, okay. And that in a way, when I was being so hard on myself that week, it like gave me that permission slip, like from another woman to be another mum, be like, hey, and I'm like, oh, thank you. Whereas because usually when you reach out to other mums, like you just hear, I do this and I have this hack and I have that hack and I do this, or I like, it's all these like time saving activities. And you were just like, sometimes the house
yeah,
gets hit, sometimes it's the food, sometimes it's this and that. And I was so like, thank you for that, because that night, I just actually left the house. I just left the kitchen and I was like, nah, I'm going to go create. I'm going to go my happy space. So thank you for sharing that. That's, I think, so important for people who are listening to, I think if they're in a really tough spot or they're going through a rough patch, that they actually get to listen and go, oh, hey, get reminded again. I don't have to do it all at once. I
oh,
don't have
I'm
to
so
be
glad.
perfect. Like, I'm allowed to just to go create, put the kids down to bed, go do what I enjoy. Where does that fire in your belly come from? What's been your driving force, especially on the hard days? Because you are literally, when I think of Alicia Keys, this girl is on fire. Like, I just think of you all the time. I'm just in awe. And it's funny because other people look at
Yeah,
me and they're in
of
awe,
course.
and I'll look at you and I'm in awe. So I'm like, what? Tell us. And you said you have a fire in your belly. Where does that fire come from?
Wow, that's really nice to hear because I live such an
Mm.
ordinary life. So really nice to hear that. Thank you for, thank you for the compliment. The fire in my belly, I just don't know how to stop. So I don't know what it is. It's maybe the way we were raised. I don't know if you're like this too, but you got to be doing something. I mean, I can sit there and scroll on my phone. I do that. But most of the time I'm like, oh, I got to do this. Oh, I got to do that. And I don't know, I was just in a position where, like, if you're speaking specifically about working on my business, Studio Petrija, I was honestly in a really shitty state. Like, I I was even crying to my husband about, like, we're
Mm.
roommates. Like, I don't feel pretty or anything like that. Like, he's still attracted to me. Like, I felt so. I'm not one to put myself down for, like, looking ugly or anything like that. It's just I wasn't. You struggle to have a shower when you're 5 months postpartum. So for me, a shower is like so, like, it just makes me so alive. But sometimes I wasn't getting that shower at the end of the day. So along with breastfeeding your child every 2 hours, it's not every 3 hours. So whoever tells you that, don't listen to them. It's sometimes every hour. Okay. So yeah, in the midst of breastfeeding, in the midst of getting broken sleep, you know what it's like getting broken sleep for months, years, if that. Okay? You really take a hit. Your personal self takes such a big hit. not to mention your business self. I would have never thought of that. Now, I remember looking at videos of mums who were running businesses in Sydney, and I thought, how the fuck are they running a business with kids? I was in shock. I'm like, how are they doing it? I could never envision that. So I was really in a negative space. And you know what I did? It was my daughter's birthday coming up, and I thought, I'm going to make a book for her so she can remember her birthday and the people that came, and so I started writing a little book for her, what each page would look like. Really, it just got my head out of the little trenches or whatever that I was in. And then the flashcards popped up into my brain as well. And then I was also talking to ChatGPT, the first time ever at that point as well. And I was mentioning the book and the flashcards, and what I found was it really I'm already a very creative person. I've got millions of ideas constantly running through my brain. That's endless. And I know that because I've always applied creative ideas for other people and other people's businesses. I've always applied it. But to do it myself and really focus on my own creative thought and idea and even bring it out into fruition is just, I never thought I would do that ever. I never thought I would make an actual product, but I created it for my daughter, the flashcards, and I just printed it off. And I thought, you know what, let me do 100 more just in case. I'll give them out to churches, whatever, who cares? If it takes me once, who cares? And I remember sitting at the dinner table and my husband's like, what? With what money? Like what? He goes, you've just put. I literally created the website and the product, and he goes, you're selling products, and with what money? Like what? Well, you know what? It was my secret savings. Okay, so whatever I had left over from the wedding, I used that. But honestly, it scared me having that conversation with him because it was so confronting. I'm doing a business, I'm selling a product, and he's just like, what? And I said, oh, yeah, I've spoken to some suppliers, and, I had no right. Yes, I do. I see those videos on TikTok. I see Instagram's even worse for that front. I see the videos on TikTok, and I just think, how are they even when I see a vlog of a mum showing their day? How do they even bother setting up that camera to get it out of bed and then move the camera and then show getting the child out of the bed? To me, it was just so unrealistic. It was just speaking volumes on Instagram's influence on TikTok, where TikTok is more authentic. It's you got to film it now and post it now. I know people do edit it, but I'm the one who films it now and barely edits it and just posts it because people appreciate that authenticity. They want it as if you're having a FaceTime conversation with them. Because if they see that vlog of every day, they'll just swipe. They'll watch it for 3 seconds and swipe. And is that really adding value? Is that really adding value? Is that actually showing other mums to be like, oh, my child slept 7 hours. My child did not sleep 7 hours, maybe once in fucking 1 year. Well, I'm not necessarily very business savvy or smart. Where my shortcomings are, I'll ask ChatGPT or maybe some professional in the field, which I don't have too much of those people around me anyway that are creative and in successful places. So how did I come about it? Oh, let me think back. All I can think about right now is the argument I had with my sister who was telling me you're oversharing. And I said, me, I was like, Mitz, don't tell me what I can share and not share. This is important. It was important for me to share that, not to be like, oh yeah, get back at this person, because I know it's just another maybe a mum. I don't know if she's a mum. I know it's another woman on the other side of this screen, but it was important for me to highlight her actions and to show my process in dealing with those actions and showing consequences. Okay. So my sister and my mum were pestering me to get trademarked for months. But I just started my business, so it's not something you really think about, nor do you have the money to cover that as well. So I don't know what it was. I just kind of one day something popped up and I thought, I'm going to trademark it now. So I went on the website, whatever money was left on my account, I just paid for it for all 4 of my flashcards. trademarked the name on all 4 of them and forgot about it. It was out of my brain. And then these flashcards popped up. I don't know how, maybe Instagram or TikTok. And I thought, oh my gosh, like it's the same packaging as mine, like the layout. And I was like, no way, this is not right. Someone in Melbourne. I was like, oh my gosh. And I was looking at it. I was like, oh my gosh, such similar cards, like the actual cards, the words that I had in the deck were the same as well as the examples on the online. And it hurt. It really did hurt because it was such a, it's not just a product I'm like mass producing and selling in big W or Woolies. Like it's my project. It's my baby. Like I know that sounds so cliche, but it's something I created for my daughter. Yes. Lucky it popped up. Actually, I remember how it popped up. It popped up on the Facebook group, Macedonian Facebook group, that this woman was selling flashcards. And I looked at it and I thought, oh my gosh. And then I clicked on it. I said, this woman seems familiar. I clicked on her to send her a message and I saw our previous messages. She was actually asking me to sell them. She wanted to sell them for her own business or whatever. I don't know. She wanted to put through a bulk order and thought, I think she just had second guesses when it came to the price of shipping down there and blah, blah, blah. And obviously thought, oh, I'm just going to do this myself and copy my idea. Like it was a stab in the front. It was like, for me, where my shortcomings were setting up a website. I mean, I've run a website before for other people. It was like a clothing company around Australia, quite popular amongst the older generation of women, maybe in their 50s. I'd run that website and I picked up all these little things of how to run it, how to upload a product, all that sort of stuff. And then I was like, oh, I can apply it on my own business now. Like just started up on Shopify. Shopify is pretty easy to follow. I don't know if that's just because I'm tech savvy. I've always been that way. Like as soon as we got given our first computer, and I remember when it was the Windows Millennium, and it was a computer that was created by one of my dad's clients. He built it. He built the computer, gave it to us. And I just remember, I remember the first time I went on the internet and found I made a little Barbie house on paint. I drew a house, I made it pink, and then I put a little Barbie picture right on the top of the roof. So I remember my first experience of internet. I remember my first email that I wrote with my tetka. She wiped it out as soon as I wrote it, and I was like, oh, yeah, she wiped it out. I remember all of that. And yeah, so as I was saying, where my shortcomings were, you just find it YouTube. You find it on YouTube. You ask ChatGPT to spell it out step by step. How do I add a product? How do I add a tag? How do I blah, blah, blah? I think I had an issue of adding international markets. So I was able to sell overseas. So I had to open that up. But then also Lula group, her name's Jovana. We actually went to school together. We were on the same school bus. She reached out to me. She goes, please, I looked at your website. Let me help you, please. And I was like, go for it. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. And she went in and fixed it up for me a little bit. So I'm really grateful for that. It's surprising the help that kind of comes out from the shadows when you're really applying and like you set an intention, you want to do something. You'd be surprised the kind of people, supporters that were lurking in the back that come to the forefront and actually help you. So yeah, so that's that with the website. With the design stuff, I'm an actual artist, so I went to uni for art. So that just I've been doing Photoshop since I looked at it. I tried to remember how long back. I think it was 2007. I started using Photoshop. So that's a long time to be using a program and getting to know it and know how to make digital art. So yeah, all the creative stuff, I have that covered. I'm an artist. It's fine. I came to business and find a buyer. Oh my gosh, you know what? I just went and did it. I was like, let me find a Google flashcard. I found one in Queensland, I think. I printed my first 100 decks and it sold out in a couple of days. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I downloaded Alibaba and I just looked at flashcards. I was scrolling for hours. until I actually found the courage to send a message and talk to someone. And I spoke to at least 8 to 10 different businesses, hopped on a FaceTime call with one of them. She took me around the whole factory, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm loving this. Like, this is hectic. Like, when you see someone's face, it's more reassuring. You're more in safe hands. It is a scary thing to put your money towards something that's so. Once I had that FaceTime, I saw the workers, I saw the workshop, the factory. I saw how many other people actually print there. And then I thought, all right, let me invest in a couple samples from this company. I invested in samples from 3 others. By the time it shipped over and came, I had already the girl who FaceTimed me. And my husband was, wait till you get the other samples so you can see hands. And I'm like, I have a good feeling about this. I'm just going to trust my gut and I'm going to go with them.
This episode is proudly supported by EY Yoga Hub, a beautiful online space created by Frankie, offering gentle, grounding yoga and breathwork you can do anywhere and anytime. No intense flows, no pressure, just space to move, stretch and feel good in your body again. Whether you're juggling work, life or simply craving time for you, EY Yoga Hub is here to help you slow down and reconnect. For all the Balkan Sis listeners, Frankie's gifting you 1 week of free virtual studio access, but only for this month, so don't wait. Visit www.eyyogahub.com or head to EY Yoga Hub on Instagram or Facebook and message Frankie with the word Balkan Sis to claim your free week. Support the ones who support this podcast and say yes to moving, breathing, and being kind to yourself. All right, everybody. Hooray. We are back. Not that we never went anywhere. We had 30 minutes that we recorded the other day, which was absolute perfection. And I loved every single minute of it. And then unfortunately, the second part of our video that we recorded the other day just went to shit. I don't know what happened. Our voices, I don't know what was going on. But basically the heavens and the skies and everything above us was just like, this ain't going to happen, bitches, all right? As determined as what we were, we literally had Petrija at her dad's house. We're on the headphones. We did everything. And I just thought in the end, for the sake of quality control and because we care about what we do and how we do it, I'd rather just re-record it. So here we are now on a Monday night after we put the kids to bed, after we've done all the things at 10 p.m. re-recording, and because I really want to make it great and it's a representation of your brand and also mine. So I just thought, you know what, you're in Sydney, let's just re-record. It's not like we're in different time zones anyway, and it just gives you another excuse to talk to you. So hooray, But yes, so the wonderful Petrija was kind enough to re-record, which I'm so stoked. We ended up leaving the conversation on where you found your suppliers, how you went about it, and what your husband's thoughts were on it, which I think is quite funny because I think a lot of, women and wives can relate to, when we're really going after something. We're like a dog with a bone and our husbands are generally a little bit frightened for us because they're like, well, are you sure? Like, are you, they're just being cautious, Kevin, about it. So I love that you shared that with us and that journey that you went on to finding that next right step and finding that supplier so that you weren't always sold out and that you had stock there and, who to trust and where to go. Like that's a whole mission in itself. So hats off to you for doing that and overcoming that big hurdle because most people just stop at the first hurdle when they start a business. Which leads me to the next question. What is your advice for women who are listening, especially mothers who have 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe more kids, who have ideas, but they just struggle to take the action. So everything ends up staying in the brain and marinating, but it's in the action where change happens. So what do you think is really holding them back? And what would be your one piece of top advice that you would give to them?
I think what holds us back is a tale as old as time. It's this little box of who we're meant to be and what we're meant to be like. And we're meant to do it all. And we're meant to they tell us exactly what we should be like, even from a young age in our magazines, the Dolly magazines. I still remember the advice and not really aligning with the advice in the Dolly magazine either. Also, just people around me, like my friends, I couldn't relate to what they were doing either. It just depends on the person, your personality. I was never one to really be influenced by other people, but that did come with its own problems. So I was like, sometimes a loner. I've swapped friends a lot. I would cry if I remember one specific time I slept over a friend's house, which is like a very rare occasion. And we went to Westfields the next day, and I didn't want to leave Westfields because I told my parents that we're going to be in Westfields and they wanted to meet with boys. And I was crying and I didn't go with them. And I called my parents on, reverse 1-800 reverse, saying, pick me up, please. So I was always a bit different, a bit weird, a bit quirky, but that didn't really bother me ever. And yes, so where I was going with this, we've always been told of what we should be, what we should look like, that we shouldn't have cellulite, that we shouldn't. I was always afraid of being a mum too. And then, like, I remember one specific point when I was working for a fashion label, an Australian Colombian fashion label. And I remember crying to my boss. She just gave us space to share how we were feeling. And I just remember crying and saying, like, thank you for showing me that you can be a mum and do this too. Like, just for me, like coming from a Balkan work household, like you just see the woman doing it all and, just constantly giving every little like corner of the world, giving to her children and her family and her parents and my grandparents and then your husband's family, like always constantly giving. I come from that sort of position. Yeah, that
Yeah.
sort of, yeah. And then, so I remember crying saying, okay, so I can do creative things in the future potentially, or I can work if I want to and still raise a family and, be happy and have money and like not be broke or whatever.
Just one very important point that you mentioned before is
Yes.
that if you can't see it, you can't be it. So if you would have never been in a position where you saw that boss of yours, like
Yeah.
building, a business and having children, you wouldn't have, if you weren't exposed to that, you would have never seen it. So you only had like one version of what was, which even that version, there's nothing wrong with that because, being a community leader, being a woman of
Yeah.
faith, being a woman, like of the whole family, and like there's great pride in that. And that's also a job in itself, but then also when you never see
Yeah.
the alternative either, you're like, what is the alternative? Like, is there even an alternative? So even though we live in Australia, like, it's just what we're exposed to. And for us woke girls, like what you were saying, you're really
Of course. Yeah.
in your own lane and like, you lost friends along the way. Like I can relate to all of that because it's all stuff that's
Yeah.
happened to me as well. And we're a bit more defiant, we're a bit more stubborn. Like I was never influenced to smoke, I was never influenced to take drugs or anything like that because I'm like, my dad's gonna bloody, whoa, like kill me, holy shit, like kill my brother or someone, which like sounds bad to say now in 2025, but also like I was only a young girl and young
Yeah.
girls and boys are very impressionable at that age. So I totally agree with you, like in terms
Yeah.
of if you don't see it, then you can't believe it and you can't be it because
Yes.
it's who you're surrounded by, it's your environment as well. And if you haven't got much exposure to like a variety, then how do you, I reckon so like one thing would be, which you were saying is maybe exposing yourself to something a little bit different. Maybe getting into some networking groups or just maybe like even with a mum down the street or if you're taking an interest in coaching or writing a book or creating art or whatever, maybe going to those type of circles where you can immerse yourself in that world to get inspired. If it's not
Yeah.
coming naturally, you know? Yeah,
Mm.
definitely. And what else do you think is holding mums back from taking action? What do you think is sort of another big driving factor?
Yeah. So as I was saying that, I think just talking and being realistic about where you're at. Like I remember, like you mentioned, I don't know, earlier in the podcast, maybe this part got cut out or not. I'm not sure if it did, but you mentioned how you texted me a few weeks ago saying, how do you bloody do it with kids? And then I said, look, my laundry takes a hit, my house takes a hit, or, I don't know, like striving for balance. I don't think that really exists. Like we're just so, I don't know, multifaceted.
It's just like with kids, you never know what you're going to get, And I liked what you said as well. Like we were talking about dinners, and the reason why these things matter is because it gives more context. And you were saying one night we do in-laws, one night we do my parents for dinner, and another night we go to the club, and have a dinner. So like I'm like, wow, that's awesome. That's cool. That's already 3 nights where you haven't had to worry about like meal prep and putting things away and washing up. And like that's huge in itself, Like obviously you've still got to do breakfast, lunch, and all the other days. Like it doesn't just stop there.
Yeah.
But it's those little things I think that make it just a bit lighter, that make the load a little bit lighter. But yeah, I agree with you. Like it's just, doing those little things, like letting things go. Being all right to let things go.
Right.
Like some things that get like, yeah, the washing hasn't got emotions. Like who cares? The washing doesn't have feelings.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like that we've got literally at the moment 4 or 5 baskets of washing. And I know the right opportunity is going to come and we'll do it together. But it's like now is not the opportunity. Now, yeah, that's right. Like now I'm going to have a talk and do what I love and be inspired by someone and learn something and something in return. That's like more of service to me than doing my laundry right now. Like, do you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, there's no like merit, no one gets a merit award at the end of the day for how many things you did. So yeah, that's a big one. So I think what you're trying to say is like letting some stuff go, being okay to let some stuff go, which like in our culture is a big no-no. You know what I mean? Just to to leave the washing, don't, get takeout. Like it's looked at sort of lazy, like frowned upon, you know what I mean? But at the same time, like it's, like you said, it's not every day. You pick and choose those days. So I love that. That's great advice. That changed my whole week last week or the week before whenever I messaged you. So I'm grateful for that. So I've been influenced even and marketing wise. So you've grown obviously such an engaging audience, on TikTok, on Instagram, on all the platforms. What would you say works best for you? Like I like that, you are on TikTok and that you show real life and just being raw. Like, can you sort of dive a little bit into that? Like how sharing your mum life has also influenced your sales and your business too.
Yeah. Well, sharing my mum life was not really something I would have thought to do. It just kind of came naturally. I am an oversharer online and I've always kind of spoken to the camera, even as I think 5 years old, my mum got the family camera and I was just constantly on it. I was filming everybody and I filled up those empty tapes. There's so many of them. And there's ones where I'm just talking into the camera saying, this is the daily news and blah, blah, blah. So I've just been doing it for a while. And so TikTok just came naturally. And I just love that it's like a platform where it's not Instagram. I do come from the marketing world where I've dealt with hundreds of influencers throughout the world, hundreds. It was lovely to see mums making money, like good money. They were US influencers and they were making really good money just being mums. But also at the same time, I didn't like that it was so not rehearsed, but every photo was photoshopped and it wasn't like a real life.
I think like TikTok, it's a bit more raw, a little bit more unfiltered, I would say. Like some stuff is obviously you can tell it's a story, it's scripted, but then other stuff you can tell it's really raw. So how do you think it's sort of impacted like your brand as well and the sales of your flashcards, and how do you think it's driven all of that forward?
Well, I never looked at it as a platform to sell anything and I still don't. Like when I started sharing my flashcards, it was like the process. I was like, what do you guys want? Like, should I do, like people were asking for Macedonian and I was like, oh, like, do I go by dialect or should I like which part of Macedonia should I do? Like the flashcards, should I make, like I was asking these questions and then I'll get responsive. And then I've actually, the people who have proofread all of my flashcards, they're all people that have just found me on the internet. So like the Greek ones, a girl reached out saying, look, my mum's been teaching Greek for 20 years. Let me help you out.
You were saying that you were on WhatsApp with your friend and she was helping you as well, put that all together. And even your like beautiful little leather pouches and wallets that you've actually, that are manufactured in Serbia, that are manufactured overseas. That was also through a friend connection too. So you've got some pretty awesome friends.
What it is, it's not about having so many friends. Even with TikTok, it's not about having so many followers. It's about actual real connection. Everyone is so deprived of connection. So when I do have conversations with people, I do make sure I have deep conversations. This is what I do. People usually end up sharing everything with me. And it's because I don't judge them. I don't really
Yeah,
give it.
you've had even just strangers, give you
Yeah, yeah.
suggestions and help you, which I think is super, super awesome. And you do share such beautiful content that's inspired by, like mamas and tatas, especially your dad.
That's
Some
true.
of
Yeah.
those videos is hilarious. Your baba and your didas. And yeah, why is that connection to your heritage and family
Mhm.
history so important to you? Like to a lot of people, it isn't. I've had quite a lot of conversations to people about this. And one in particular was like, I just don't
Yeah.
have that. She just doesn't have that. She's from where we're all from, like that same part of the world. But she just doesn't possess that like this strong earth connection to heritage and roots. So yeah, why is that something that's so important to you?
When I was, I think, 22, I still remember at university, I was listening to a Kanye song, and it wasn't really lyrics. It was more music, and it was a bit of like choir vocals in it. And I just remember feeling so lost and not knowing who I was. I don't know if everyone goes through that at 22, but I was so lost. And then I just started to delve into looking at my family tree.
Mm,
And I think a lot of people I don't want to say a lot of people don't have much of a backbone, but I think a lot of people struggle with identity of they're so easily influenced by things on Instagram or TikTok because they just don't know who they really are or even given themselves a chance to find out who they are. We've been told to be what to be since high school, since, childhood, by magazines, by teachers or whatever. Very rarely you'll come across someone who really wants to help you flourish into who you're meant to be or what you really want to do. So for me, it was going back, finding my ancestors. And you know what? My ancestors, amazing inventors or anything like that, but they were amazing in their own little way. They had simple lives. They lived in the village, but they were creative in their own ways. They were musical. They would get together and, have slava, dinners, whatever. They would go feed the cows together like it's a real community type of thing, like that. Yeah, like my baba would be singing into the mountains, and even my grandmother from my mum's side, Baba Yewa, she was also creative too. She would make beaded necklaces for all of her daughters, and she would ride horses, and like it's just amazing life.
when you reconnect with those people and those stories, you're like, wow, I come from somebody. Like, I come from this woman who was like riding a horse, like powerful, like carrying children, feeding cows. Like, she was strong, she was mighty, she was powerful. It's like, oh my God, what the hell am I complaining about? What's going on here?
Yeah.
So I do understand that because my sister bought me a DNA kit, just my birthday that
Mm.
passed. She bought it for me in February. I bought it for everyone else and I never bought it for myself because it's one of those things where it's like really nice someone else buys it for you. And my sister knows like I'm just so deep into this. Like my parents are so annoyed because I'm constantly asking questions. I'm constantly
Yeah.
writing things down. I record my mum's like stories
Yeah.
in the car. So when she goes on a random, like, because when I say to her, Mum, let's talk about this, she's like, oh, what for? Like, šta ćemo pričat. But when we're in the car and it's natural and we're listening to music and we've been on a road trip, she all of a sudden starts talking and I start recording. And,
Okay.
those stories are really important to me. And yeah, funnily enough, my ancestors didn't travel far. And then just like from that region, like I'm not
Yeah.
1% anything else. Like I'm literally not 1% Germanic or 1% Portuguese. Nothing.
Oh,
It just says on there 55% Croatian and like 50, whatever. Back to the bunch. My maths is bad. But like a Balkan, it just says Balkans, like Balkan region. And it just shows you that region, that area, and it's literally just that area. So my ancestors literally didn't go far at all. And that's how far it's like. And so I knew my great grandmother when she was alive, when I was alive, and I remember having coffee with her. So, it's like I have those, and I know that obviously that her mother. So yeah, like you said,
Really?
bringing it all together means something. And I belong to something. And that's really powerful. Like, and that you can definitely see that in your work too, with what
Yeah.
you're creating, because language is a powerful tool that
Yeah.
connects us to our history, like our people. And it gives us also like, it's a powerful thing because you can talk, you can say something. Because I know when I came to Australia, I didn't know any English. And I
Okay.
remember just how unempowering that was. I didn't feel like my usual self, which was, this young, confident girl. I felt really just weak and like I couldn't say anything. I couldn't ask to go to the toilet. I couldn't ask for help.
Yeah.
Like it was actually an awful place to be. So, for anybody who wants to learn this language, I just, kudos to you. Like it's awesome what you're doing. And, what old school values, we talk about obviously our roots and our family and our history. What old school values do you want to preserve and pass down through both your product and your parenting?
For me, it's that feeling of belonging. I definitely want to instill that in my own kids. And so I do that with the language. And I do see how a family responds when they are using flashcards and just the bond. And it's like a little game for kids. Like they look at it and it's like, not that they feel proud, but they feel like, oh, yes, they got something right. But it's not even about getting it right. It's like, I don't know, it's a real connection. It's different than having an app and being like, oh, yeah, learning a language or whatever. When you've got a young child who's 2, 3, and you're looking at them in the eye and you're repeating a word back to them in Serbian or a different language, you can just see the wires just going, like they really love it. So for me, definitely language and just like Slava, which is our saint day, passing that down, but not just like for the sake of doing traditional saint day activities like, food and all that. It's really about teaching them what I know and how I feel with these sort of things and hoping that they find their way, their own connection spiritually to God and that it's not influenced by saying you need to go to church. For me, because I ask questions when I don't know either.
I love that. I think, we're taking like what I said to you in the last conversation, we're the bridge between the two generations from what was and from what's going to be. So we're like that bridge that's sort of taking on those old school values, but also mixing them in like with today's world, in today's technology and all the advancements and all the things that are happening. So I have no doubt your kids are going to be inspiring, beautiful, little light human beings. Like I can just already see it through their photos and videos. Like they got the best mummy. And, your stance on women's and girls' empowerment is strong and clear. And I really love that you share that as well, that's sort of the underlying message amongst everything. What fuels that passion for you? Like, why do you think it's important to stand up for things that you believe in? Like, why do you think it's important to share? Because a lot of people who sell products or have a brand or have a business, they're like, no, I'm not sharing that. That's a bit controversial. What are my parents going to think? What's my sister going to think? What are the people in the community going to think? Like I'm talking about my periods. I'm talking about this. I'm talking about sexual harassment. Like I'm talking about all these things that aren't usually widely talked about in the community. So why is that important for you to share?
I think I've always just been a bit like to other people, I would probably maybe looked at as a bit problematic, but to me, that's just me.
If we all amplify our voices, like we can actually be really powerful together. So I love that you do that. And I hope that you're going to keep on doing that as well. And you have collaborated with some amazing Balkan artists and businesses. How do you choose who to work with? And why does collaboration, with people from the Balkans matter to you?
It's a feeling. It's definitely a feeling. And I've always done things on a feeling and intuition. So for me, I just wanted a platform where I could give things and products to people from Balkan people.
I love that you have a vision. And it's like in business, they say you shouldn't go off feeling and intuition and vibes. In a way, business is more like structure and numbers and discipline. You know what I mean? There is definitely a gap between those two markets. And I love that you're giving these people an opportunity to show their artwork and the things that they're creating. Like show us one of the little things that you have there. I really want to see it. How cute is I just saw a bag like that the other day. I don't know where. And I just thought to myself, wow, these bags are back in time, but I'm like, I would rather 100% buy that.
Oh, wow.
Knowing it's supporting someone overseas, like knowing supporting a couple to make a living, than buying it at Kmart somewhere.
Right. Exactly. So, Sophia was making this in between picking raspberries for Dad and she'd not respond to me and be like, oh, sorry, I'm just picking raspberries.
But like, why not though? And that's where I think it's awesome that you are collaborating with people who are in a small town, are happy to go to sustainable, pace and all of that. And then also then your big vision paired with that, with their knowledge and their talent and their skill set, I think is going to be something really unique. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where all that goes as well. So what's next with Petrija? Where are you taking things in the future? Talking about big visions, big goals, big dreams. Surely, like, because you do have those, like you said, oh my God, I'm manifesting this already. And I often think as well, like coming back to the whole, why don't women tend to take action piece? Like just follow the breadcrumbs, So where is the breadcrumbs taking you? Well, what is the next right step?
For me, it's to create more learning resources for families and kids, more languages.
So tell us where people can shop with you, where they can visit you, and how they can connect with you in person in the next couple of weeks.
You can definitely find me sharing on my TikTok. We'll be at the Serbia Festival on the 10th of August. So my local sports club always do like this annual festival.
So just to put in context for everyone that's listening, she's got this like massive white chick. She's in her backyard somewhere, just to give people like a visionary. And she's got all these different spray cans and she's this massive, beautiful flowers as well. And I'm like, all right, stop showing off now. Far out. She also does like live art, like graffiti, So if you are going to be around, what's the location of the festival? Because I'm not in Sydney. What is the suburb in that?
It's in Bonnyrigg. So it's the Western Sydney suburbs. It's in Bonnyrigg and it's like obviously not in the city. So you got like, you're parking amongst like residential like streets and stuff. Like it's not, you don't have to go there dressed up. It's like you go there in your hoodie and you're going to appreciate the folkloric dancing. I actually love the folkloric dancing so much. It makes me want to cry when I watch it.
And that actually just showed me how powerful music is. So whenever I hear the harmonica, like the actual harmonica, not like the mouth one that the Aussies call harmonica, like prava harmonica, I just get like instantly goosebumps. But it's like I start dancing already. I've even started dancing. It's like my heart's already moving. Or like even if I hear it pop up on a random video and like mum share, it's just in there. And I think it's just ingrained. Like, I don't know when you said that, like, as I was in folklore for years, it's like I was singing and dancing for years. And then eventually we all grew up and just started getting jobs and boyfriends and life. But I'm looking to get back into it in some form of capacity, whether it be maybe through coaching and teaching or getting video in there or something. So I'm excited about that. We'll see what happens. I think it's awesome if people have the opportunity to come to Bonnyrigg to see you, to meet you. You're running a competition, like you're giving prizes. So I think just good on you for giving back and making it fun and entertaining. And why the hell not like this? So this is outside. It's music, it's food, it's dancing, it's I would encourage anyone to go if they are in Bonnyrigg. And for people you already mentioned your TikTok was Studio Petrija and then your personal one too.
Yeah.
Instagram, you've got Studio Petrija and your personal one. You've got your shop at www.studiopetrija.com. You've got your Etsy shop as well under Studio Petrija on Etsy. So people can pretty much like put that into Google and it will all pop up anyway.
Yeah, well, so I appreciate even giving me this space to talk, and I love it. Like, as soon as we did the first part of the podcast, I was like, let's go live, like on Instagram, and let's go live on TikTok, and blah, blah, blah. Like, I would love to do this like every week.
Thank you, Petrija, for coming on, and I can't wait to connect again in the future. Before we close, I'm thrilled to share a special thank you from Petrija at Studio Petrija exclusively for our listeners. Her beautifully designed bilingual flashcards are rarely, if ever, discounted. But in celebration of culture, community, and connection, she's offering 10% of all Balkan Sis listeners. Just use the code BalkanSis10 at her checkout on her website. Whether you're nurturing your children's connection to their heritage, introducing language into everyday life, or simply seeking meaningful resources for your home, this is a wonderful opportunity to support a small business doing beautiful work for the Balkan families everywhere. And if you've enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow me, Ivana Šturbac-Alfonso, on all of my social media accounts and make sure that you like, share, and subscribe if you feel called to leave a rating or review for Balkan Sis. It truly helps this podcast reach more incredible people like you. Until next time, do widzenia. Ciao.
Thank you. Yeah, see you later. Thank you, guys.
So that was the episode. I hope that you really enjoyed it. And as ever, if you did, please consider sharing it with your loved ones and leaving me a review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. It really does make a difference to the number of Balkan sisters that we can reach with the brilliant wisdom that my guests and I share. Thanks for being here. I do viđenja.